Hello, beautiful family. How are you all doing? Thank you for the maximum love and the support. So today, my beautiful family, we are giving it up to the Amazonia. In fact, France joined Norway. Amazonia versus Cameroun peace talk. It is raining right now. The Amazonia has taken it to a new dimension that the world are not talking about Amazonia. Oh my goodness. I don't really want to talk too much. I want you to listen to this and I'll be right back.
The Middle East. Fellow Amazonians, you, the Amazonian people, you've achieved your strategic objectives. The strategic objectives the leader laid out have been achieved. The Amazonian people have strategically defeated Cameroun. What's next? That's what we should be working for. Wars are not meant to be permanent events. All wars are meant to achieve strategic objectives. Mr. Biya war on the Amazonian people is meant to achieve strategic objectives for Cameroon. Amazonian war, the Amazonian resistance, the armed resistance is also meant to achieve certain political objectives for the Amazonian people. You've never had political power before. You've never had the ability to go on a negotiating table with strength. You've never had any leverage for negotiation, for peace talks. That's why they've never taken you serious. So he's a wise man. He's a smart man. We have to change the trajectory. We have to create new models that will give our people the kind of strength and power and dominance and prepare them for negotiation to get what belongs to them. Before we get into these discussions, there's a lot more happening within the continent of Europe. European politicians that have been very reluctant to talk about peace and negotiation between Amazonia and Cameroon, they are all changing their stance, they are changing their position, they are changing their tone. There is a momentum building for peace, for negotiation between Amazonia and Cameroon. And today, I want to give you an update. But before we get into all of this, though, let's watch some few events that have been developing within the context of Cameroon and how Mr. Biya's government has become very irrelevant. The people do not want them anymore. It's a video that came out from Belgium over the weekend. There is a book out there that Mr. Biya is using to launch his political re-election campaign for this 2025. So he's sending out a couple of deputies to go out and promote Mr. Biya's bid for re-election. So there's this book, they're talking about the achievement of Mr. Biya, the goals, the things, the extraordinary things that Mr. Biya has achieved. And Cameroonians are not buying that because it doesn't match with their daily realities. They know after 42 years, the only thing Mr. Biya has given the people of Cameroon is misery, pain, terror, corruption, embezzlement, bribery, ungovernability, right? Poverty, right? Underdevelopment. So the people understand these realities. So the illusion of rebranding Mr. Biya, it's not taking roots. So there is a clash between Mr. Biya and the people of Cameroon. And this is just the tipping point. This is just the beginning. Public anymore, except on very rare occasions, right? So how will he be able to lead the people of Cameroon when he's 93, when he's 94, when he's 95, when he's 96, 97, 98, and 99? Okay? Now you're talking about dealing with the gods, as I told all of you last week. So things are about to change in Cameroon, as we've announced. Even the international community, including the DW and Al Jazeera, they've all told you the regime is falling apart. But with Issa Chiroma, the humiliation, There is no breathing space for Mr. Biya and his deputies, whether it's in Cameroon or across the globe. Time for change is now. Let's watch, let's listen, let's learn the movement for change and the desire for change, how strong it is in Cameroon. The Europeans have been very reluctant to interfere in what they consider to be France's sphere of influence, and that's the conflict in Amazonia. So Europe has been taking a very reluctant stance. They are afraid. They don't want to rub feathers with Mr. Macron and the French colonial empire. So they said, okay, France, we'll let you deal with it. And obviously, you know the history of France. You know the history of Europe. Let me remind you, the European white supremacist, the European imperialist have killed more people across the globe than any other race. And most of the resources that France benefits from are coming from Amazonia, for French industries. That's why they've been shoring up Mr. Biya, giving Mr. Biya diplomatic cover, and constantly providing billions and billions and billions and billions of CFA, moving across the Amazonia territory to be doing political propaganda to shore up Mr. Biya. Mr. Biya has never been to Amazonia for how many years? For years, he hasn't been to Amazonia. But you've seen they're sending French ambassador, French ambassador, French ambassador. Well, 2 weeks ago, they brought in the Italian ambassador, took him to where? To Le BLM. Then last week, the French ambassador went to where? To Bamenda. To do what? To shore up Mr. Biya. They are not coming because they love you, the Amazonian people. They are not coming because they want you to succeed, because they want you to be free. They are coming to entrench the seeds of exploitation, imperialism, colonialism, and continuous genocide. That's why they are there. There is no morality in the policies of this colonial exploitation. There is no feelings. That's why they can slaughter hundreds of thousands and millions. After all, they own the world. What consequences will befall them? They control the world. They created the global institutions. That's why they have created terrorist organizations. They created and are sponsoring terrorist organizations to destabilize these countries. And then they'll turn around, they tell you they want to provide military aid to solve the same problem they created. How does this relate to the Amazonian conflict? It's all part of the game. Kill them for their resources. Kill as many as you can. Weaken the voices. Anyone that dare to stand up, to talk about it, to speak the truth, is targeted, persecuted, eliminated. Because they own the world. The world they own no longer exists. And many voices. Today, 80 years later, the Amazonian people have succeeded. Going through a lot of pain. Bearing the pain of daily massacres, of ethnic cleansing, burning down some villages and communities, burning grandmothers alive, killing pregnant women. We've gone through it all. It's the price as a people we have paid, just like the people of Rwanda, just like the people of many countries across the globe, just like even the people of the United States. They also paid their price for freedom. We fought a great fight, very tactically, a great cost. We've paid with our lives, with our blood. We've paid being refugees, displaced persons. Children haven't been to school because their schools have been destroyed to make sure they have no compelling future. Our grandmothers, most families live in the forest, live in their farmhouse, and even in their houses, they are targeted and killed by the colonial bees trained by France to gain access to cheap natural resources. There's no human rights. Human rights is not for people like you. It's for the French. Human rights is for the Norwegians. All right? Human rights, it's if you are white, all right, then you have human rights. That's their concept. They created it. So only they deserve to have human rights. You don't. You speak up, they call you a terrorist. You want to fight for your rights, they said you're causing problems. They fought for theirs. If it was a good thing for the Norwegians to stand up against Hitler conquering Norway, conquering Norway, it should be a good thing for the Amazonian people to stand up against Cameroun's occupation and colonialism, isn't it? What is good for the children of Norway, what is good for the people of Norway, it's also good for the people of Amazonia. The election of Mr. Trump is changing Europe's calculation about the conflict. The Amazonia Governing Council, wisdom, strategic thinking, in building and forming a new partnership with the United States has forced the Europeans to rethink their policy on the conflict between Amazonia and Cameroun. The Europeans are waking up and noticing how fast Mr. Trump wants peace and a new arrangement between the Russians and the Americans. They are waking up to realize that it's not business as usual. There must be leadership for peace to be achieved. Mr. Trump wants peace in Ukraine. Wants the conflict in Ukraine to come to an end. He's showing leadership. The Europeans are afraid that with the pace with which Mr. Trump is moving across the globe, the Americans could step in immediately and take over the control of a peace process. They have the will, they have the knowledge, they have the resources, and they have the power to do so. The fear of A of C partnership with the Americans, with modern global strategies, the lobby firm, is creating fear within Europe. As a result, 2 weeks ago, as we informed the Amazonian people, the government of Norway sent a delegation to Cameroon, a delegation of diplomats to Cameroon. They are telling Mr. Biya, listen, the way the egg of sea is moving towards the Americans, we are afraid if you don't negotiate right now, Cameroon will not have a say if a decision is taken by the United States. If you don't negotiate right now, even France will probably not have a say when the United States has made a unilateral decision and declaration recognizing the Amazonian people. Mr. Biya said, okay, it sounds threatening. What do you want me to do? He said, it's totally up to you. All conflict are resolved by the consequential actors. After their 1 week of assessment, meeting with members, with Mr. Biya, the Prime Minister, and the cabinet, meeting with Anglophone, what they call Anglophone elites or leaders, meeting with the civil society, talking with normal people. They spent 1 week in Cameroon. They came back with a letter to the Ambazonia Governing Council from Mr. Biya. Mr. Biya requesting the Ambazonia Governing Council and the government of Cameroon to get into talks, peace talks. They want these things to be secret. Why? They can't explain themselves. Why do you want them to be underground talks? You want talks, but you are keeping the leader in jail. All right? So we found this to be very hypocritical. And after serious deliberations, the Ambazonia Governing Council understand the liberation belongs to the Ambazonian people and not the Ambazonia Governing Council. The people must have a say. It's the people that are doing the fighting. It's all of us that are doing the fighting. So there must be public consultation with the people. The leader has promised transparency after what we learned from the Swiss intention and Canada pre-talks. The leader has set certain guidelines. Any talks, any intentions of talks must be public. Must be public. In order for the actors to demonstrate public leadership, public credibility, and for the process to have a face. We had these discussions last week. Over the weekend, the French ambassador to Cameroon, Mr. Thierry Marchand, made certain statements that Cameroon and the people of what they call Northwest and Southwest, what they call Anglophones, should be prepared for peace talks. Peace talks are coming. The French, Norway, wants the conflict to come to an end. We, the Ambazonian people, want this conflict to come to an end. France has now joined in. They also want this conflict to come to an end. The European Union has also joined in. They want this conflict to come to an end. So there is momentum that is building up because, as I've explained, because of the powerful lobbying effort the Ambazonia Governing Council is doing and the partnership we are forming and building within the US Congress, within the US Senate, is mounting pressure on the Europeans. They don't want to be left out. when you see them now talking and wants to act, when you see Norway sending diplomatic team to Cameroon, it is because of the fear of our lobbying effort. So this is good news for the Amazonian people. All conflicts do eventually come to an end. But how they come to an end is also very important. That's why, while the Ambazonia Governing Council and the Ambazonian people are open for a negotiated settlement, it will not be business as usual. We have achieved significant strategic objectives and have dismantled Cameroon colonial power in Ambazonia. We have demonstrated our determination and resilience to reclaim that which belongs to the Amazonian people. Whether it's Norway that is going to lead the process, or it's a combined effort with the French, as we are seeing, and a combined effort with the European Union, whatever form or shape, whatever group of nations or institutions or alliances wants to lead the peace process, the Ambazonia Governing Council is open, it's ready. The Ambazonian people are open, and we are ready. It must be genuine, it must be transparent, it must meet international standards. That's all we ask for. No one, no nation, no group of nations would impose a predetermined solution to the Ambazonian people. And the Ambazonian people will not accept anything that reflects Cameroon's predetermined solution.
So, my beautiful family, you can hurry now to Abazonia Communication Network, their platform, and do where to watch this interview. It is great one. The Abazonia are doing it great. They are doing the doings right now, and it is showing, it is happening. Oh my goodness. Please do where to share this video. I still remain your one and only Progress the Analyst, as I will keep updating you on all the latest happening. Thank you so much, and bye for now.